Hello, everyone, and welcome to this video as part of Microsoft Copilot Studio in a Day. My name is Craig Kreskis. I am a partner solution architect here at Microsoft. And this video, video number 10, is titled How to Call Power Automate Flow as an Action. Now, in the lab, you're going to learn how to create a flow that fetches a weather forecast and then uses a call to call an action node in a bot topic to call the flow when a customer asks about the weather. So some great examples and a great lesson on a little more complexity building upon the knowledge you have so far in the labs, in the workshop. Just to give you a visual representation of where you're going to go, you're going to create a flow. You'll add an input, and then of course you're going to add an output, and then we'll add an action. And then we'll call the flow from within inside of a topic in Copilot Studio. So let's begin. And the first thing I want to make sure, we always want to make sure, is to confirm your environment. So you can see here sometimes, and I've done this before, I'm not in the right environment. So by default, I want to make sure this is my tenant that I use it for my demos. And that's the first step, just to make sure, because you go through all that work and then the results aren't there. It's because you may have accidentally not change or put it in the correct environment. Same thing, let's go ahead and start by creating a flow. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up my customer service Copilot. I'll select on topics, and you can see in the instructions, just grab one. In this case here, the action will not add anything here, but we're only going to open the flow creation page on Power Automate with the correct template. So hit on the node. You'll select on the call and action, and then it says here, create a flow. You could turn on and turn off, and I'll do this Copilot. It's here as kind of an aid and a guide. So you can always close this out. You can also invoke it on the right. First step is to rename your flow. So in this case, get weather forecast, and let's go ahead and select that Copilot. Now we're going to go ahead and add inputs. So again, I'm going to go ahead and select that tile which says when Copilot Studio calls a flow, what is the input going to be? So I'm going to go ahead and select text. I'm going to type in city and zip code. I'll save my work, and that starts with the input. Now the next thing is going to be, how do I add an action to get the weather? So let's go back in the node, insert. We're going to add an action, and you've got a list of all these connectors. In this case here, the lab wants you to select on the weather, and you'll choose the get forecast for today. For the first time sign on, I have to create a new connection. So that'll take a second just to authenticate. And now you'll choose the lightning bolt, and then say, go ahead and select on those input parameters that I just created, the city, and then of course the zip code. And then you could collapse that. And now we've got that set up. Now let's go ahead and add outputs. So selecting on the tile to return to my agent, I'm going to add an output, and that's going to be the text. I'll type in the name. It says day_summary. And now you're going to choose from the application from that weather. So I'm going to go ahead and select on conditions, and then choose text, and then location. I'll choose my city, and then the chance of rain, the percentage chance of rain, we're going to go ahead and get from the weather app. Save your work. And now let's go ahead and confirm our settings. Selecting on that tile, you'll come here into settings. And again, just read through the labs. There's a little bit more description as to why you want to make sure the asynchronous response is turned off. So again, that's covered inside of the detailed lab work. Now let's call a flow from a particular topic. So I'm going to go back into Customer Service Copilot. I am going to add a topic from blank. I'm going to rename this Get Weather. And just a reference here, at the time, that I was recording, I did not properly set up my generational AI setting. And so in this particular lab, my video is going to be a little bit different than what you have on your lab, because in your lab, it asks you to enter a description. In my case, again, since I didn't at the time of the recording, I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. And that is just going to go ahead and put in some phrases that will trigger. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a message. I'll type in the message around how I sure can help you with that based on these trigger phrases. I'll ask a question. What is your city? Remember, using the user response, I'll type in city. I'll do the same thing for zip code. So I'll ask, what is the zip code? I'll change the multiple choice to the user response. Add zip code. And then, of course, I'm going to call an action. Now, earlier, remember, we just did create a flow to open up the template. But now that I have that saved, my Get Weather Forecast is available for me. And then as you see in the lab, you just need to populate the variables for city and for zip code. And I'll send a message giving the results back. So you can see here, using variables, today's forecast based on the location I entered in, it's going to give me a summary and then the chance of rain. And like anything else, you're going to go ahead and hit save and then publish and test your bot. Now you're going to find here I had some challenges in my experience. I'm going to go ahead and ask my bot, what is the weather like? The bot responds with a confirmation that they can help, and then says, what's your city? I give it Denver, my zip code, and it gave me the forecasts, and I need to go back and troubleshoot. I had some challenge here with my percent chance of rain, but you could see how this worked in integrating Power Automate as a call and bringing in data such as the weather. And again, we created a flow, we added input, output, added an action, and we called that flow into our topic. So that concludes this session, this video, this lab on how to call Power Automate as an action inside of your Copilot Studio. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I look forward to seeing you again on the video again real soon.